There's a moment you've probably experienced where someone doesn't yell, doesn't argue, doesn't explain. They just go silent. And somehow, that silence feels louder than any words ever. Could you replay everything in your mind? What did I do wrong? Why aren't they responding? Should I apologize? Even if I don't know what I did? And that's where the shift happens. Not in what they said, but in what they withheld. Because silence in the wrong hands is not peace, it's pressure, it's control, it's a psychological lever designed to make you chase, question, and eventually surrender. And the most dangerous part? It doesn't look like aggression. It looks like distance, like calm, like they're simply taking space. But deep down, you feel it, that unsettling tension, that invisible weight pulling you toward them, even when they're the ones who stepped away. Tonight I want to show you something most people never fully understand, not just why silence hurts, but how it's used, intentionally or unconsciously, as a weapon. And once you see it clearly, you will never experience silence the same way again. Before we go deeper, I want to be clear, everything discussed on this channel is strictly for educational purposes. Understanding dark psychology is about building awareness, not weaponizing it. If you or someone you know is in a harmful situation, please seek support from a licensed professional. This is a space for growth, clarity, and protection, nothing else. Silence is often misunderstood as neutrality. People assume that when someone goes quiet, they're simply processing, calming down, or avoiding conflict. But there's a different form of silence, one that isn't about peace, and it's about power. This is what's commonly known as the silent treatment, and in its darker form, it's a behavioral pattern where someone withdraws communication to influence your emotional state, not by what they do, but by what they refuse to do. Imagine this. You're in a relationship, maybe personal, maybe professional. Something small happens, a disagreement, a misunderstanding, even a harmless comment. Instead of addressing it, the other person shuts down. No replies, no eye contact, no explanation. Hours turn into days, and suddenly you're the one reaching out, trying to fix something you don't even understand. That's the shift, the moment where silence stops being absence and starts becoming influence. This matters because it taps into something deeply human, our need for connection, clarity, and emotional security. When those are suddenly removed, your mind doesn't stay calm. It fills the gap with anxiety, self-doubt, and urgency, and that's exactly why this pattern works so effectively. But to truly protect yourself from it, you need to understand what's happening beneath the surface. Layer 1. Silence creates psychological uncertainty. At its core, the silent treatment works because it disrupts certainty. As humans, we are wired to seek answers. We want to know where we stand, what went wrong, and how to fix it. When someone removes communication, they remove your ability to resolve, and your mind doesn't like unfinished situations. So it starts searching, overthinking,
filling in the blanks.
Let's say someone stops responding after a minor disagreement. Instead of clarity, you're left with questions. Are they angry? Did I cross a line? Are they done with me? And without answers, your brain often assumes the worst. That uncertainty creates emotional discomfort. And most people will do almost anything to escape that discomfort, including apologizing unnecessarily or giving in. Why does this matter? Because the power isn't in the silence itself. It's in how your mind reacts to it. Recognize this pattern, and you start to see that the discomfort isn't truth. It's a response to missing information. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Layer 2. Silence triggers emotional dependency. Silence doesn't just create confusion. It shifts emotional control. When someone withdraws, your focus moves entirely onto them. You stop thinking about your own needs and start focusing on restoring connection. In that moment, they become the source of relief. Think about it. The same person who created the discomfort becomes the one who can end it. That's a powerful psychological loop. Imagine a scenario where someone ignores you for a day, then suddenly returns acting normal again. What do you feel? Relief. Not because everything was resolved, but because the silence ended. Over time, this creates a subtle dependency. You begin to associate their presence with emotional stability and their absence with anxiety. And without realizing it, you start adjusting your behavior to avoid triggering that silence again. Why this matters is simple. This isn't just communication, it's conditioning. And once you recognize it, you can begin to separate your emotional state from their behavior. But most people never reach that point, because they get caught in the next layer. Layer 3, silence as a tool of control. Most people stop at understanding that silence hurts, but you need to understand why it's repeated. Because when something consistently changes your behavior, it becomes a tool. Whether intentional or not, silence can be used to shape outcomes. If every disagreement ends with withdrawal, and every reconnection happens on their terms, then over time a pattern forms. They control when communication starts and ends, and you adapt to maintain it. For example, someone might consistently go silent whenever you express a need or boundary. Eventually, you stop expressing those needs, not because they disappeared, but because the cost feels too high. That's how silence shifts from reaction to influence. And why this matters for you is critical. You're not just dealing with quiet behavior, but you're dealing with a dynamic that can slowly reshape how you communicate, think, and even value yourself. Recognize this pattern early, and you protect your autonomy before it starts to fade. Here's the part most people never realize. Silence only works as a weapon if you interpret it as rejection. Let that sink in.